Okay, welcome to another video. Today we're going to check out RebornOS, which is actually one I've never tried before, despite how many times it has been recommended to me in the past. So it's based on Arch, and they do things a little bit differently as far as sort of desktops and ISOs. So instead of having just the one desktop ISO or several desktop ISOs with their own individual desktops on it, this installer here, which is Kimchi, has been customized to include 10 different desktop environments all within the installer. It also has a selection of packages that you can manually fine grain and go through as well. So we're going to go ahead and install to disk. I've not decided what desktop I'm going to go for just yet though. So let's click install it. Okay, English is correct. Yep, we're good to go. And we want English GB. Okay, I'm just going to plant my cursor right about there. You can of course go through the zone and region like that. I find it easier just to point and click though. English UK. Okay, so here's the desktop selection area. So as you can see, we have a base package, which will just be a command line interface of which you can build upon and choose your own packages and desktops that aren't actually listed there. You then have Budgie, Cinnamon, Deepin, GNOME, i3, KDE, LXQt, Mate, OpenBox, Pantheon, and XFCE. Now, I was quite tempted to install the GNOME version, however, I've just read the website, and obviously we're in a live environment of GNOME right now, which is the default for the installer, but the way it appears now doesn't actually carry over into a fresh install. So for example, the panel at the bottom with dash to panel extension won't be enabled due to some issue with changing the desktop versions. So we're not going to go for GNOME. I was half tempted to go for Deepin, but it's going to be the beta package still. As you can see there, keep in mind the Deepin desktop can often be unstable. It doesn't depend on us but the developers of Deepin, who usually upload beta versions. So the beta version of Deepin is currently still version 20, and in the image screenshot there, that's version 5.11. I don't mind either version really, but I'd rather not use a beta version, especially on Arch. What tends to happen with Deepin is the bottom taskbar doesn't have the rounded corners and look quite right. So we're going to skip Deepin. So it kind of leaves me just with KDE, which is actually my desktop of choice anyway. So I think we're going to go for KDE. So if you're looking for a familiar working environment, KDE's Plasma Desktop offers all the tools required. So that's what we're going to go for. Okay, so here's the sort of feature selection where you can choose additional packages and drivers by the looks of things. So let's go to Show Advanced Features. So you have application performance, system maintenance. We have the Arch user repository is enabled by default, which is nice to see. So I'm going to leave that there. You might want to uncheck it though if you'd rather just not grab things from the AUR. So I'm on the laptop today, so we will leave Bluetooth enabled. So you can get your Broadcom driver support there. You can get Chromium web browser. So it's got some common photo editing programs. Nice. So if you highlight it, it will tell you what's going to be included in that, such as GIMP, GT-Thumb, Rapid Photo Downloader, Raw Therapy, and Dark Table. So I'm not going to worry about that. So common video editing programs for Linux such as OpenShot, Kdenlive, Pitfy, and Avid Emacs. As we are installing KDE, I'm going to go ahead and enable that so we can get Kdenlive. So I don't know if it installs all of those packages, which is why I'm not going to also grab GIMP. I'll just install GIMP afterwards because we will be using that. But I'd rather just not have loads of additional packages that I don't quite need. So you can also choose a desktop client, which is Thunderbird. So it has Dropbox support in the installer there, which is pretty cool. I don't use it, but for those that do, it's nice to see. You get the developer edition of Firefox, and by default the standard Firefox is your web browser. You can also install the Google Chrome proprietary one there. You have hardware analysis, so you can install the long-term support kernel, which I will also support along with whatever other kernel it installs, because it's always good to have a long-term support there as well if you need it. And we're going to get LibreOffice. Is that the fresh or the still package? Okay, I can't see that it says whether it's fresh or still. Fresh will be the more up-to-date version, so we'll check that out once we're fully installed. So you've got two options for file managers here. Obviously, because we're installing the KDE desktop, it comes with Dolphin, so we don't need to use Nautilus or Nemo. So it also has the Opera web browser, popular games. So what's included in popular games? Just basic games like Solitaire, Mines and stuff, so I don't need that. So we're on the laptop, so we are going to get power saving. which are going to be, TLP and fair mold, so we're going to keep that. I never use printers anymore. I can't remember the last time on my personal computers at home I use printing support, so we don't need that. And we also can install Spotify, Steam Play on Linux, spell check, which is slightly broken at the moment, check packages for RebornOS. Okay, I'm not going to bother installing anything that's slightly broken. We're going to grab VLC though. So you could also use the wallpaper cycler, which will cycle through wallpapers on a periodic basis. And I think that's all we're going to grab. So let's go to continue. So this is a disclaimer just warning you that the AUR isn't supported by Arch or RebornOS. Oh, sorry. Okay, I've not seen this sort of section before. So cache selection, which is optional. So it's recommended to use an additional cache. This installer needs to download a ton of packages from the internet. I'm quite happy with the speed I'm going to be getting from my internet, so I'm not going to worry about that, but it's a good option for those that might need it. Okay, we're going to let Kinchy sort the mirror lists as it's recommended. Right, so here's where we're going to set up the disk. We're going to go for a straight erase disk and let that set up the partitions for us. That way we can see how it's going to make the partition layout. So we are going to do it on this Brent here. And continue. Okay, user accounts. So Tyler, hostname, we're going to call this Lappy. And username, Tyler. Password, almost said it out loud then. Doesn't really matter, I don't use like a good password for this. I don't use the same password for my actual personal rigs that I use. We'll go for login automatically and continue. Okay, let's review our options. So English GB, United Kingdom, layout is GB. Desktop is KDE. We've got all of these additional packages here, and here we can see how it's going to create the partition table. So it's going to give us a swap, so I'd like to see how large that's going to make it, whether it's going to be enough for suspend to disk with hibernation. We're going to get a root of ext4, we're going to get a boot of ext4, and then we're going to get a boot EFI. So let's go forward with that installer. We're ready to commit. So I'm going to start my stopwatch as soon as I press yes. That way we can get an exact sort of time of how long it took to install. Okay, I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, we are all done. Installation was complete in 10 minutes and 12 seconds. Although depending on your internet speed and what desktop you choose and additional packages, your time could very much vary. So we're going to restart now and boot into our freshly installed KDE desktop. I've got a feeling it's going to be quite vanilla, so we might need to change the theming and stuff to get it quite how we want it. But then we'll be good to go. Okay, so we've got the default LightDM theme for our login manager. So let's just type in our password. I'm pretty sure we chose to auto login. It hasn't appeared to have taken effect. Okay, so as you can see, like we thought, it's a very vanilla KDE setup. I don't mind that though, because then it gives us a base upon which to customize it to get it to how we want it to look and feel. So before we have a look around, I just want to double check how it's set up that swap partition and just how large it's made it. Oh, I haven't got tap to click enabled. We'll do that in a minute as well. Right, so it's given us a swap partition of 7.8 GB. Quite an odd size considering we've got 16 GB, so I don't think we're going to be able to get a good hibernation going with that. But you win some, you lose some. So let's get out of that. Right, before we have a look around and stuff, I just need to set up the tap to click because I really don't like pushing into my touchpad. It just feels a bit unnatural to me. So let's go into system settings, and while we're there we better change it to double click as well for opening files and folders. Right, let's go straight into what we're looking for. Double click, let's do that first. So general behavior, so we want double click to open files. Yeah, it's always been the sort of way I do it because I like to use one click to select, because you might not always want to open something with a single click. I know a lot of people like the single click though. I don't even know what the sort of modifier key would be to get a select going. That's how little I've used single click. Unfortunately, we don't know. I thought that we had the tap to click in this, but we don't, so we're going to need to go to touchpad, and in here we can set tap to click. First we better apply our double click. Done. Right, tap to click enabled and apply. Perfect. So now I can just tap and do what I need to do. Brilliant. Okay, so let's see what's installed out of the box. Of course, we have chosen some additional packages like VLC, Firefox. We didn't choose, it was enabled by default, but it is going to be there. So we're going to start in development. So it's going to be just, standard stuff that you're going to get in a KDE Arch install. CMake, Cuttlefish, Plasma Engine Explorer, then a Qt Assistant, Linguist Designer, and Debug Viewer. So let's go back. Education, you're just going to have LibreOffice. So we'll check out what actual version of LibreOffice we've got, because I'm not sure whether it was still or fresh. If it was fresh, we should have quite a nice and up-to-date version, 7 point something. So let's go into graphics now. So in graphics we have GwenView, LibreOffice Draw, Scanlight, and then more applications. And you have your K color chooser there. Let's go back. Okay, internet. So you're going to have the KDE web browser, which is going to be... No, I thought we might have had Conqueror or something. I'm pretty sure I saw it. No? What about Falcon? Okay, no. So it hasn't installed the sort of KDE web browser, so you're just going to get Firefox, which suits me just fine. And of course, you can have KDE Connect and KGet, and then the SSH and VNC server browsers. Multimedia. So we did choose to install the Kdenlive and just the video production selection packages. So it's going to have installed a few things, I think. Yeah, so we've got OpenShot, we've got PitV, we've got VLC, Pulse Audio, and there's Kdenlive, which is what we're going to use to edit this very video on. HW Mix Volume, HDSP Mixer, HDSP Conf. So Elisa is actually my favourite music player on KDE. It's what I always use. Suits me just fine, so I'm happy that that is there. What is the other one for KDE? Like Jack, I think that's what it's called. I much prefer Elisa, so I'm happy with that choice there. Is there anything else in multimedia? Dragon Player. See, I'm not a fan of Dragon Player. It's not the best video player ever, but again, it's a KDE suite of applications, so you're going to get used to seeing that on a lot of KDE desktops. Okay, so LibreOffice we chose to install. I'm not sure if... Ooh! So by that loading screen, I think we've got a newer version, which is going to be the fresh package. So let's go to Help and About. Version, there we go. So this is version 0.003. So very nice and recent version. Do we have dictionary support out of the box? We don't. So we're going to want to install an English dictionary to get sort of, spelling correction and stuff working as it should. We'll do that in a moment. So let's get out of that. So where are we? That was Office. Is there anything else in there that I didn't see? Nope. So you get the full LibreOffice suite with the still package, which is going to be the very, very recent version. Settings is just going to be your KDE stuff, and also you've got your Arch Linux kernel manager here. So in the installation process, we chose to install the LTS, the long-term support kernel. And as you can see there, it's there, but we're not currently using that. We're currently using Linux 5.8.5-Arch 1. So if we wanted to switch to the LTS, we would just go set as default and then reboot, and I'll show you towards the end how that works, but for now we're not going to worry about that just for the moment. So the theming doesn't seem too great there because I couldn't really see what was actually where the title action bars were. Right, so that was in system, or no, that was in settings. No, it was in system. Was it also in settings? Yeah, it was. So we've got the firewall here, an easy way to configure your firewall. So if you type in your password, you could set up your firewall with your allow and deny sort of permissions there. Very straightforward and easy to use firewall there. Let's get out of that. So that was in settings still. Is there anything else I want to check out in settings? So we still have the print stuff. I'm pretty sure we didn't choose to install that, but perhaps that is included in the KDE suite of applications. So add or remove packages will be the PAMAC manager, where you can manage your packages. Yeah, we might want to change the theming there because we're not seeing the buttons and stuff that we need to be seeing. Can I get to the options? There we go. So if you go to preferences and go to the AUR, you will notice that it is installed and enabled by default. So Flatpak. So we can enable Flatpak support straight from here. So let's go ahead and do that. Check for updates. Done. Right, so we're going to close that off now. And we're going to keep going. While we're here, we're going to check that there is an update. There really shouldn't be though, as this is a fresh install and it fetched a lot of packages. But I'm going to do it because, unlike Manjaro, RebornOS doesn't hold packages, so as soon as they're in Arch, you're going to get them on RebornOS, so you're always going to be up to date with the very latest packages. And like I thought, we have no packages to get. I do believe I saw Screen Fetch was installed during the installer. No, I must have just imagined something. What about NeoFetch? Was that what I saw? There we go, I saw NeoFetch. So as you can see here, we are on RebornOS Bash 5.0.18, and the amount of packages that got installed, and they're all Pac-Man, was 1090. Anything else I want to check out in there? No. Okay, cool. Let's get out of that. So we're currently using just short of a gig RAM at the moment. We'll do a fresh boot and see just how much RAM it does actually use though. So let's keep it moving. So what about system now? So in system, again, we have the Arch Linux stuff and the add and remove. We've got dconf editor there, okay. Dolphin, which is your file browser. Kwallet, paste. So this will be where you can manage sort of repositories, and we can see what is enabled by default. So we have RebornOS, Core, Extra, Community and Multilib are all enabled, and community testing and testing are disabled. Let's keep it moving. So that was system. Is there anything else in there I wanted to see? No. So it also has the drop down terminal as well, like so, and the shortcut key is F12. So if we just pressed F12, that should disappear. There we go. Not too bad. Right, let's jump into some of the final. So we have utilities here. So what you're going to get in utilities is your text editor, which is K, emoji selector, the K backup program, spectacle, which is obviously what you use to take screenshots, like so. There we go. So we can just save that anywhere we want into pictures. Are we in pictures? We are indeed. Okay, I saw something that I do want to take a look at, which was called Reborn Fire or something. Let's have a look. So back into utilities again. So we have RebornOS Fire. So if we open this up, and there's TLP, the UI that we installed to manage battery performance a bit better than default. So RebornOS, and each version of RebornOS also has early OOM out of memory. So let's go to RebornOS Fire. So I'm not too sure what this is going to include. Please select your favorite terminal, console, exit. Okay, we're definitely going to want to do something about this theming, aren't we, at the moment? Okay, I'll tell you what, let's look through this program and then let's sort the theming out. We might also have to install Cavantum and stuff like that to get it looking nice. And then we'll have a little look at everything else and see how it all works, get a fresh RAM reading and kind of wrap it up there. Okay, so we can change the display managers. We are currently using SDDM, but we could change to LightDM if we wanted to. Nice, so it even lets you choose some additional desktops to install straight from here. So we could even install some other desktops, which we might do actually towards the end, just to see how easy that process is. So potentially. Okay, let's keep moving. So system tasks. Here you can do some simple system maintenance stuff like clearing all. So if we was to go, let's say test out of clear cache, then click apply, type in our password, and then that will clear the cache. What cache exactly is it clearing? Let's have a look. So it's removing all packages from cache. So let's go ahead and do that. Has it done it? I guess it's done it. It didn't give us a dialog saying complete, so that would be nice to see. But you can also clean your journal, clear cache, leaving the last 3 newest versions of packages, rank mirrors, and remove unnecessary programs. In repair, we can save or recover programs, reinstall grub, rebuild grub, downgrade, and remove package but leaving dependencies behind. Okay. Right, so this is what was sort of mentioned on the website. They come with sort of out of the box support for Ambox, which is like Android in a box. So it's an emulator for Android where you can run Android inside a container. Not something that I'd really be too interested in, but it's a easy install there for guys that do use it, so that's pretty cool to see. So Mycroft, I have no idea how this actually works. I've looked into it a little bit. I do believe it's like a AI kind of virtual assistant sort of thing to manage your desktop. Again, it's not something that I would personally use, but again, for people that do like that kind of thing, it's quite cool to see it there. So then we have tools, which would be quick sort of links to the PackMac settings, Arch Kernel Manager. which we've already taken a look at, Pamac software, and Stacer. So Stacer is an application where you can, I do believe, do like system cleaning and stuff. Okay, so it's just a link to install it. So we've installed it, and as you can see, you can sort of mess with your startup applications, you can clean things up a bit. You can do quite a lot of stuff inside this little program here. It's kind of like the equivalent to, yeah, it's kind of like the equivalent to what you'd get on Windows, like for CC Cleaner. I don't know if that's even still going. I'm going to just assume it is. Let's go into Wormhole. So what's Wormhole? So in short, Wormhole is an extremely secure, private and open source alternative to AirDrop or any file sharing service, and unlike AirDrop, Wormhole allows you to share a file or directory with any PC in the world. Anyway, here is a GitHub page if you are interested. Okay, that sounds pretty cool. That might be something worth sort of setting up someday and seeing how that all works. Nice. So it's like a file sharing program similar to AirDrop, which you get on sort of Mac devices. Again, I've never used AirDrop, so I can't say how good it is or how good the comparison might have been. And then we have the rollback here where you can roll back your system to a prior state. Right, what we're going to do now is download some themes and stuff and get this desktop looking a bit nicer with the theming. And then we're going to test out one of the other desktops because I'm kind of intrigued of how the whole process works. Okay, so we've changed our theming around. So we've gone for the Nordic theme, and we've also paired it with the Cavantum theme that it comes with, and we've installed Cavantum. So everything should look nice together, and we're using the Tailor icon themes. As you can see, we've got a bit of transparency to our dolphin there as well, with a nice bit of blur, so everything seems to be working okay. All I need to do now is show alternatives and get it just to the icon task list, like so, and switch. Okay, perfect. So what we're going to do is pin that one to our actual task manager there. Now all we need to do now is just change the wallpaper to make sure everything looks a bit nicer together. Then we need to open up those programs that we opened up before and see if that's fixed it, and we can actually see the buttons that we need to see. So let's go to configure desktop, and the default wallpapers, I don't know if it comes with anything sort of additional. Let's go with the flying conky guy. Let's just use that for now. Perfect, so it's looking quite nice to me. So now what we're going to do is open up Pamac and see if what we have done has sorted out. There we go, so it's got the breeze buttons there, I do believe, but it's better than having none. I'm sure we could change that over, but for now that'll do absolutely fine. So to finish up, we're going to do a final reboot, get the RAM reading, and then we're going to test out the whole switching desktops. So let's do a quick reboot. Okay, we just started back up, so what we're going to do is check how much RAM this uses on a fresh reboot, and then we're going to test out the whole choosing a different desktop and seeing how easy that process is. So let's open up a terminal. I have already installed HTOP. So at the moment we're currently sitting at about 694. If we left that for a minute or two, it would probably drop to about 670. So I'm going to say you're looking at under 700 megabytes of RAM. Not too bad. I thought it might have been a little bit lower than that though, to be fair, but that's pretty good going. So now what we're going to do is open up the Reborn Fire and try out some of the different desktops. So if we go into desktop environments, we have Budgie, Cinnamon, Deepin, Enlightenment, no MyFree, but what we're going to go for is LXQt. I don't think I'll have to download too much additional packages. So what that's going to do is open a terminal, which is going to prompt you for your sudo password. And now that's going to download all the packages for you. I didn't get to quite see how much that's downloading. Let's have a look. Oh, where did that just go? Uh-oh. Did that install it? What happened? I think it might have installed it. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll try and log out and see if we can go into LXQt. If that did install it, it was very fast, and it would have been nice to have got a dialog telling us that it had finished. Other than that though, if it's worked, it's worked. Okay, so here we are on our LXQt desktop. I've done a quick reboot just to get a fresher RAM reading, and as you can see, we're operating at a little bit less than what we are on our KDE version. So we're at about 614 megabytes of RAM there. So a slight improvement over the KDE. You're going to want to install some additional icons and themes and just play around with the overall appearance settings of LXQt just to get things looking more uniformed and correct, because you'll notice there will be a few missing icons here and there. But overall, very simple process. I'm pretty happy with how that went. Before we sign off though, I did mention I was going to show you how easy it is to change the kernel to the long-term support kernel. So if you go into Preferences and open up Arch Linux Kernel, you'll notice here there's a few kernels here, and by default you've got Linux, Linux LTS, Zen and Hardened. So if you select LTS and then select Set as Default, it will ask you for your password, and then it will update Grub and you'll get a new entry when you sort of select your operating system. And then if you go into that, that'll be your default, and then hopefully we'll reboot and then we'll be using the LTS kernel from then on. Okay, and as you can see, we are now using the long-term support kernel of 5.4.61-1-1 LTS. It's a very easy and straightforward process. Before we sign off, let's quickly run NeoFetch, and let's see how much packages we have increased it to now that we've also installed LXQt. So we've now got about 1,137 packages exactly, all in Pacman. So not too bad going. We've upped it by a couple of hundred since we had just KDE on there. That's been RebornOS, and actually I've really quite enjoyed it. I don't know why I've held off using it for so long. I would definitely recommend it to someone who's a bit put off by the whole Arch rigmarole and just wants an easy to use system with a graphical user interface that they can just click through in the installer and be good to go. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. Also, I'm accepting submissions of like your custom desktops and rices. If you go to my latest YouTube post, there'll be a bit more information about that. I'm going to make a little series about that could be quite fun. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and also join the Discord. There's a link in the description. See you on the next one. Bye bye.